That young male lion was just a few meters behind one, and it was too nervous to jump on the buffalo's back. And when the buffalo turned around and realized there was this teenager lion snooping around behind him, the buffalo just snorted at it and eventually chased it away. And you can tell by the way he's looking at us that he's probably thinking the same thing about us now. They're not the most welcoming of animals, the buffalo. Probably one of the most dangerous to encounter on foot. Even this old boy, even though his horns have become very blunt towards the tips and worn down over the years, he's still got so much immense power that if they crashed into you, you would essentially be crushed. Very, very tough animals, the buffalo. And that's why they're part of the Big Five. So a lot of people often wonder why the Big Five consists of the animal that it does consist of. And that's because back in the days when big game hunting was very popular in Africa, the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt were those that became members of the Big Five. So it's got nothing to do with size. The name can be misleading. It's got to do with danger when hunting. And let's be honest, whether you're hunting animals or just walking on foot and looking at them, they can often present that same level of danger to you. As we assumed, he is going to hopefully pop down to this little water hole and have a drink, possibly wallow. Beautiful.
That's a good one, right?
Copy that, wonderful. Brent, maybe you can try out the radios with Ryan now that he's crossing back over to that channel. I think 3 is the initial one, but it's both of those channels are Arethusa channels. Alex knows the finer details. Well, incredible how much action the water holes are already beginning to provide us with. Not even 24 hours ago that we spent an hour here watching elephants playing around and drinking. And now there's a big Cape buffalo, and I wonder what's come into this area between the elephants and the Cape buffalo. I did mention yesterday it would be wonderful to have a camera trap that detonates by movements of animals moving through the viewfinder to establish exactly who did pass through here in the evening. But interestingly enough, he's just popped up close to a hole where the elephants were drinking out of yesterday. And it'll be interesting to see what he tries to do and whether he can smell fresher water within that little hole. It's just down to his right, our left, the bottom left of the screen. And the elephants drank and queued to drink out of that specific hole yesterday. And somebody did ask whether other animals would also try and drink out of it, but I did even mention that if a buffalo were to try, its horns would probably get in the way. This guy thankfully is missing the tips of his horns, so he may have a small chance, but I still think he will not fit his head in there. As if he's just had his hooves polished after glistening from that watery sheen. A few people are asking whether the elephants did indeed tap into the water pipes by digging this hole here, and it doesn't appear that they did, because we could still have a shower when we got home last night, so this could just be a natural spring that they've, not a spring, but by digging into that area they'll access slightly fresher water that hasn't been contaminated by animals like buffalo and even elephants themselves defecating in the water. Oh. Now look at that, a beautiful woodlands kingfishers just behind the buffalo, and it did just pop into the water for a bath, so it may do the same thing again to wet its feathers in order to try and clean itself. Here it looks like it's getting ready. Oh, there the kingfisher went for one last little swim. Tammy's just asked whether this water, or that we as humans certainly wouldn't drink this water, and yes, we wouldn't, but I'm sure people have drunk this kind of water before in desperate scenarios, and this kind of water may, if there's no water around, be better than no water, Tammy, so in survival situations, you'll find that humans have drunk water that you would never imagine drinking, but certainly better than nothing. And Tammy, then further to Tammy's question was that, would water ever pose a threat to wild animals? And unlikely, unless it's contaminated with some kind of a virus or disease. Animals will be able to drink the most unbearable of water and eat the most rancid and rotting meat for the carnivores. They're exceptionally resilient wild animals, and we as humans have become weak over the years, whereas animals have regained their strength of living in the wilderness. Simply the fact of thinking about how clean and sterile the lives some people live, especially in first world countries, that is why I'm told that there are so many weaknesses that are coming through in children these days, being allergic to many different things that didn't happen years ago when, as kids, humans were naturally exposed to more dirt and bacteria and therefore built immune systems to it. Now, from a young age, humans are living such a sterile life that their bodies do not build up any immunity and therefore become weak and intolerant to things such as even drinking water and eating various food types. Wouldn't it be nice to know what's going through his head? On emails asking what would cause these tears in the buffalo's ears, and it would in all likelihood be when buffaloes are fighting, and clashing horns will split the ear with relative ease when they're going at it, a full-scale battle. I think that would be the major cause in the tear in buffalo's ears, but occasionally I guess if running through thick vegetation away from lion, they could cause tears in their ears from branches. But certainly more likely than anything else would be them at battle with one another. And those are vestigial hooves of potentially when these animals would have had 4 toes, or potentially corrected, and that's just my theory. So, and I fear that it's probably not the most accurate theory, but it is a theory that the only theory that I've got for you, Sinead. It's something that also exists even on cats and dogs. A lot of the time, a dew claw. It doesn't provide any major function, but it still is there. And interestingly enough, even on snakes, there's a small claw that can be found on pythons, for example, close to their anus, which again was a vestigial claw from once when snakes did have limbs. So a lot of interesting theories on how animals have evolved.